In this video, we're covering misleading graphs. So graphs, when used incorrectly, can actually give a false or a misleading impression. And it is important that you are able to identify when someone or a company is using a misleading graph, because it has happened in the past. A lot of news programs put out misleading graphs to mislead the public into thinking something when it's not really that bad or dire. So there are multiple reasons why a graph may be misleading. For example, you may have no scale. So a graph with no scale prevents you from determining the actual difference between the categories. For example, here you can see there looks like quite a large distance, but we actually have no scale on the side to tell us how much that distance is. Therefore, that is misleading. It's making us think that it's a very big difference, when in fact it may not be. So in fact, we could have something similar to this would be more appropriate, where we have a 0 going to 100, and you can see now that the distance actually isn't that much. Alright, so it's important to note that you need this scale over here. You need this y-axis and an x-axis for that matter, but you need some sort of a scale to allow you to determine and read the difference. The next one is an uneven scale. So they may put in a scale, but the problem is if they only show part of the scale, this is known as this is not a regular scale, and therefore can make one category again much larger than the other. So if we look at that same similar example, this time they've showed us a scale, so that's good. They've included it this time, but they've started at 50. So again, it's made it look really, really big, when in reality, if we bring over that correct graph again, where we're actually starting at 0, so you want the graph to start at 0, the difference again isn't that big. So they've misled you by saying, here is our graph. Look at the difference here. It could be something in terms of spending. And people go, well, this company A is spending a lot more than company B. That's misleading you, when in reality, they're actually spending probably very similar amounts, but company A is only slightly more. The next thing we're looking at is when they use pictures instead of actual bar graphs or column graphs. So pictures can be misleading because you look at these and you go, wow, that city that's so much more, because the image in itself is a lot bigger than this one. So it would be more appropriate to use a column graph. And what you could do, if I just do a column graph quickly next to it, you could go like this, right? And then you can see that it's visually not that much of a difference. But having the picture where it's increasing in all directions compared to this one misleads the reader or the observer to think that that city has a lot more fruit being sold than the town. So to end the video, it's important to know that a misleading graph can give the wrong impression by having several reasons. And these reasons are not having a scale. You must have a scale. So whether that is 0 to 100, you need a scale. And you need to be, you can't show only part of it. So a misleading graph will only show part of the scale. Alright, so we don't want to start at 50 and go to 75. Alright, that is the incorrect. That is not good. We don't want that. Alright, it needs to start at 0 and go to 100. Now, using pictures instead of columns to exaggerate the differences, like we did with the basket. You want to have bar graphs. You want to have something like this, where it's quite clear and it's not misleading the reader.